You're listening to Business Stories with Ryan Arcaracci, where I speak to business professionals from all walks of life. Thanks for listening, and let's get to it. Hey everybody, today is a special episode because not only am I doing an audio podcast, I am doing a live video podcast with two amazing gentlemen, Doug and Mike Burda with Red Apple Fireworks. I'm excited about this episode because I don't know a lot about the fireworks industry. I don't know a lot about you guys. So talk about the history, the family history with this business, and how did it start?
There's like the fun story, and then there's like the real story. So we'll like do it somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
So our dad is an immigrant. He came over in the late 1970s from the former Soviet Union. He left as a political refugee, and he's brilliant. Our dad is the smartest guy I've ever met, and he had an engineering degree, and he was top of his class. Didn't speak any English when he got over here, and couldn't get an engineering degree, and so landed in Detroit with his family, and literally started finding any job that he could, including actually shoveling shit out of people's basements in Detroit.
Wow.
And you know, he grinds. He always has. Yeah. And his friend came along to him one time and said, you know, I've been selling fireworks to make some good money. Do you want to give it a try? Right. Yeah. And of course, my dad was like, yeah, cool, let's give it a try. And started selling fireworks out of his trunk on the block.
Wow.
And sort of, you know, just ratcheted that whole operation up. When he met my mom was in a similar place in terms of finding a way to make money. Mm-hmm. And so they both had this idea of pursuing the American dream, which at that time was different than what it is now.
Right.
But at the time, they were really synced up together in basically just forming that partnership that allowed them to build a business and make some money and build a family. Mm-hmm. And then, so that went on for a while. I went to law school. Fast forward 20 some years. Yeah. I went to law school. Yeah. Mike was working at one of our other businesses in Michigan. It was a Halloween business, seasonal retail. And I got my first job as a lawyer here in Las Vegas. And I was doing intellectual property law, which was pretty particularized at the time. Mm-hmm. And I got burned out really quick on it. Yeah. The ceiling for creativity is very low. Yeah. And we heard that there's fireworks out in Pahrump. Yeah. And we drove out to Pahrump to see the lay of the land, and we saw an empty building. Mm-hmm. And we filled out an application to get a fireworks permit. Mm-hmm. And here we are 11 years later.
Wow. So you guys are working together. You're building this fireworks business. Yeah. What was the experience like? Because when I think of fireworks, I think, okay, it's a once a year thing, 4th of July. How do you sustain the business over the year? Like, I want to understand like how the model works when 4th of July is once a year, and where else do you see business or opportunities with fireworks coming in?
Yeah, you want me to take this one?
Well, I think that it's evolved for us. It's evolved.
Yeah.
It started as a hustle for July 4th kind of mentality. That's the time that you got to do it.
Yeah.
And then it kind of evolved into like an all reasons, all seasons kind of a thing where we were grinding to sell fireworks for any reason.
Yeah.
And we had an endless list of even some nonsense holidays like National Look Up at the Sky Day, where whatever that even means, but
Sushi Day,
right? Yeah. Where we tried to market it as a reason to use or buy fireworks, and I think that that's now progressed into a celebrate with fireworks mentality, where rather it's any reason, any season, it's if you've got something to celebrate, or if you're having a party or trying to mark some sort of milestone, then you definitely need fireworks for that.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. But what we're
you're right though. I mean, it took us a while to realize that the off-season marketing has much less of an impact on our bottom line than our on-season marketing.
Yeah.
And so even though we try to sustain it outside of the busy selling season, we're still very much subject to the 80-20 rule, where 20% of the selling season is what drives 80% of our revenue.
Right.
So when we get to that phase of the on-season, the busy selling season, everyone is all in for like 3 months nonstop, just crazy.
And that starts like what, like around late spring, early springtime when it really...
Typically, the typical fireworks business opens up for like 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
For us, we're sort of in more of a niche area.
Yeah.
and we're able to really drive that busy selling season from April through July 4th.
Okay. But I would say traditionally it's like Memorial Day is
that's when people start thinking about
it. The kickoff.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Like this is what I want to understand too, because fireworks, the technology has evolved, the way they're marketed has evolved. Like I'm looking around your office now, and there's like boxes of colors, there's cute characters, there's cool pictures, artwork. Like how have you seen things change with the fireworks and the technology over the last decade or however long it's been? Like
this is one of our main differentiators.
Yeah.
We've driven a lot of it over the last 10 or 11 years. And so what we're seeing, Mike can explain some of the differentiators, but we're seeing when we got into it, the industry was a dinosaur.
Yeah.
It was dead.
It still kind of is.
It still kind of is. But now we have everyone copying us.
Right.
Even we have the 800-pound gorillas copying us, and we have the, fly-by-night salespeople copying us also. So we've driven a lot of that innovation. But if you want to talk a little bit about that.
I mean, technology-wise, fireworks themselves haven't changed so much.
Right.
I mean, it's gone from fully handmade stuff to there are some machines that do mass-produce items. Like there's sparkler machines now. There's smoke bomb machines that actually form and make the items.
Right.
But more so than not, these items are being handmade in factories in a line where, it starts with the powder, and the powder gets molded into some form and put into a tube. And then the tube goes down the line, and they put the tubes together, and they fuse everything together. So they're still making fireworks the same way they were when they were, 100 years ago. But we've found space to innovate because there was such a lack of information and such a lack of understanding of what fireworks are that not only did customers have no idea what they were purchasing, but the people selling the fireworks had no idea what they were even selling.
Right.
Even now, like if you use some of the granular information, if you're a customer, and you go to our website or our store and you learn about the technical aspects of the fireworks, and you go to another store and you say, I want a 30-shot, 1.2-inch tube caliber cake that has 20 grams of powder per shot and a 6-shot fan-shaped finale. Most of the people in that store, I would say the vast majority, they're going to look at you like you're from Mars.
Like you're speaking another language.
That's right. Even though that's their product. It's crazy.
I mean, I think back to even when Doug and I, we had the tent in Detroit for so many years. And
8 Mile.
On 8 Mile, and not such a great area, but even as fireworks business owners, we had a difficult time understanding what the product was that we were selling. And you pick an item up and somebody say, what does it do? And you're like, well, it's a little, there's some silver in there, and maybe there's some gold. And really, we're just looking at the package and trying to sell the item.
And that was usually wrong.
And it was usually wrong. But now it's evolved to this. To a package like you have behind you, where it has more information on the package than a customer would ever even know what to do with.
Right.
And we're trying to educate the customer so that they understand what they're buying. Not only to be safe, but just to understand how they can use the firework, at their home or wherever it is that they're
a theme party or something.
Yeah.
So if someone's a novice, they don't know fireworks at all, they walk into your store, what's the sort of the top level kind of basic understanding? Like what do you tell someone to say, well, you could probably want something like this,
Sure.
How do you explain that to them, the way they work and the technology and all that?
So the threshold for what most people are looking for when they go to buy fireworks, putting aside the expectation that they're going to be in a flea spec stand on the side of the road, right? We're sort of the antithesis of that from the beginning. Our store's nice, it's clean, it's well lit. There's TVs everywhere. And the website reflects the same sort of, methodologies. But, generally when you're buying fireworks, you want something that shoots up in the air. You want it to explode. You want to see some different colors and some different effects. You want some cool audio effects. And you want a finale. And so when we started innovating in that base level, that's where we started. We looked at this idea of like powder limitations. Because you're limited on an aerial that's like a typical size that would cost you somewhere around $50 at a traditional store, sometimes more. You're limited to 500 grams of pyrotechnic composition. We started thinking about ways that we could legally and safely increase the powder limit that our customers can detonate and get that Disney level show with a backyard consumer product. And so we created what we now call a finale set. And it's trademarked. It's federally registered. We're the only ones that can use the word finale set. And it's very much what it sounds like. It's a set of aerials that can be connected together according to the instructions we provide you in a way that's going to give you a good rhythm, all of the effects and colors that you're looking for, and you're going to easily be the king of the block, or you're going to be the hero of your family birthday party, whatever it is. So we try to just basically make it easy to get that basic level of effects that everyone's looking for when they shop for fireworks. But that's just the intro level, right? So even at the intro level, you're good. But if you want to dig into the different technical specifications on the back of the box, if you want to study the info strip on the front or the info box on the back, you can get very granular in terms of what colors are you looking for, the specific effects. If you're having, let's say, a graduation party and your school colors are green and white, you can certainly walk around our store and pick out the fireworks that are green and white.
Really?
So
that's on our website.
And especially on the website.
Okay. So when you talk about that, like if somebody says, I want something custom, like I want certain colors or a certain explosion type or whatever you call it, are you able to do that? Are you able to customize sort of the color scheme and all of that too?
It's not like you're customizing on the fly,
right?
But you can certainly say that firework will give you the color that you're looking for or the effect that you're looking for.
Okay.
But customizing on the fly is a cool concept.
Cool idea.
It's a freebie for you.
Thank you.
I want to ask too, because when I was a kid, you always heard stories like, well, little Billy, was playing with fireworks and he blew his hand off last year. So let's address the safety issue. I think a lot of people, parents especially, are worried about safety. Kids find these things and they decide to light them, and it could be scary. So how do you address that safety issue?
I think there's a marketing component that I'll let Mike talk about. I think the practical component is that if you follow the instructions on the box, it's almost impossible for you to get hurt by the product. And it's simple things like keep a safe distance. Don't put your face over a lit firework. Most of the people that are unfortunately getting injured or killed, it's 99% of the time because they were misusing the product. They didn't read the instructions. They were drunk. You should never operate fireworks under any sort of controlled substance or alcohol. And it's just like, that's the instinct for some reason. Oh, I'm drunk. Let's go light some stuff up. Like,
people think they're toys.
It's not a toy. You could easily die if you don't follow the instructions. So, that's the practical legal side of things. I think the marketing side is a different story.
I mean, the marketing side is it comes back to knowledge and it comes back to education. And it's giving the customer the correct amount of information, maybe even more than they'll need, like I said earlier, to make them not only have an educating buying decision, but a safe night or whenever they're shooting those fireworks. And we have big, bold, bright warning labels. We have instructions. We have safety sheets that we put in with all of our boxes and things like that. We do have instructional videos on how to do things correctly. But we
were the first ones to do that also, to actually give a visual component on how to operate.
Really?
Normally it's like this CPSC sanctioned text that nobody reads because it's like, you need it has to be a 14-point font. And so people put it as close to 14 as they possibly can, as small as they possibly can. We came along, we're like, blow it up, man. Like put it on the part of the box that you actually have to open. So you're seeing it as you're cutting open the package.
And we had our design team come up with this very cool, because the standard is this long paragraph that nobody reads, right? But we had our design team come up with this really easy to digest. Do this with a bunch of icons. Don't do this.
Like an infographic.
It's an infographic, and it's very easy to understand. And really, if just people followed the instructions, and didn't let their kids have access to certain things, they're not toys. There's a legal limit. There's a legal age limit for a reason.
It's like any regulated good. Really.
Exactly.
It's like, don't give your kids alcohol.
Right.
Keep away the THC stuff. Don't give them access to your guns or knives. It's the same common sense approach.
Exactly.
But people hear fireworks and they think explosion, so they sort of overestimate how dangerous they are. When in fact, just instructions.
The only time I've ever heard of an issue is from misuse.
Just not knowing how to properly handle it.
Even if you do know it, like Doug said, you're drunk or you're not paying attention or something doesn't light, because it doesn't go up, and then you wander over to it and look in the tube and it fires out,
every year
through your skull.
Every year. You need like a designated shooter at your party. Like, designated driver.
Yeah.
Like, you need a designated shooter.
100%.
Do you guys supply one of those with your?
Hey, The price is right.
It's a good idea, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What do you think? I want to ask you guys.
Number two.
What do you think the fascination is with Americans and fireworks and explosions? Like, what do you think the core of that is? Why do people love it so much? Is it because it's dangerous? It's a little bit dangerous, but it's also pretty cool.
Perceived as dangerous.
I think it's the level of danger, and even if it's legal, you're still kind of thinking that maybe you're doing something
deeper.
wrong.
Look at the core of our country. Look at the fabric of our country.
Yeah,
it was founded on rebellion.
Right.
So this is just another
blowing
form.
stuff up.
That's right.
Yeah,
they've done studies though that the height of anticipation is what drives the excitement for fireworks. So people don't even really, your brain doesn't even really care about the explosion or the colors. It's like, oh, it's pretty. Yeah. It's from the time that it launched, you hear it launch out of the tube up until the point right before it explodes. Yeah. That's when your brain is like, give it to me, you know?
Yep. It's like an endorphin rush. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about like the marketing. Did you guys did you innovate? The packaging is what fascinates me because I look at these things and like you could see one of these boxes from a mile away because the way the color pops and did you guys come up with any of this artwork or package? What's the process behind that? Is that part of your ideas?
I don't know if there is a process. We kind of, as far as like ideas and names and things like that, I think it's more me and Doug like hanging out and talking about things that we're into or things that we used to different things we used to have as kids. Yeah. For example, like that Pixels right there. Yeah. That's part of a line called the Arcade. Lineup, and it's all like kind of 80s themed 8-bit 32-bit arcade stuff because I still remember sitting in Doug's room while he was playing Metroid 2 on Super Nintendo it was awesome to watch, right? So now we have these fireworks that kind of reflect some point of our childhood.
But this is the coolest part because our packaging, that's a great example. Our packaging, it is based on things that are ingrained in our psyche from when we were kids.
Really?
And now, like video games, and now we're old enough where we have children. And we're looking for, as a parent, you're always looking for ways to connect with your kid, right? Yeah. And for us, it's like you go into our store, you go on our website, and you see a product like this. Yeah. And it's hitting so many emotional levels for you, and it's providing that path to connect with your kid because you want to create that memory. Yeah. Because fireworks are all about memories, happy memories, right? Yeah. So I'd like to think that we're hitting our customers on a lot of different psychological levels based on things that they're emotionally connected to.
That's interesting.
And that's where a lot of our inspiration comes. Like I DJ'd for a long time. I paid for my undergrad DJing rave parties in Detroit. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of our packaging reflects some of the design style that were on these rave flyers at the time.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. Which I used to have plastered all over my room.
Yeah, we used to wallpaper our rooms with the rave flyers. Yeah. So, it's the process itself, I don't think there isn't, for us, it's not like a defined starting and an end. Yeah. But it certainly is like, where do we want to take the directionality of this performance? Yeah. Because you watch the performance and you'll see something and say, okay, that reminds me of whatever. Yeah. And then you sort of go down that path.
Right. And it's also a path of what we don't want to do too. Because there's some weird standard in the fireworks industry where they pick just the weirdest names and the weirdest artwork.
Like what?
Like,
example.
Like Confederate flags and motorcycles and skulls. Yeah. Where it's borderline KKK. Yeah. But
this is on a firework.
And it's on a firework
box.
It's on a firework box and skulls and guns and violence and not to say that we don't use skulls because we do some pretty cool.
But we make them cool, right?
We make them cool, things about mother-in-laws and not your grandma's firework and things like that. And it's just like.
Well, no. It goes deeper though because for a long time these companies didn't even have their own design departments. Right. They were relying on the factories to do the artwork. So they would come up with a name, and here's the best example. There's a huge fireworks company in the United States. They have a product called One Bad Mother, right? When we hear that, we get it, right? Yeah. We understand that, that's a bad MFer, right? Yeah. They gave it to a designer probably in China, and the designer did their best to match the artwork to the words One Bad Mother. And the package to this day is this terrible cartoon of a mother drinking and smoking and wearing this hoochie mama clothing while the kids are
holding
crying.
A baby.
Wow.
Yeah. So they totally misinterpreted the title of the product.
So it's literally a bad mother.
It's literally a bad mother.
Right.
Okay. Wow.
Right.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So you guys have
remember that one we saw that said "Fighting the Nazis of World War I"?
That was literally the name of a product.
That was the name of a product.
Number one, there were no Nazis in World War One. Number two, this thing had swastikas all over it.
Oh
And
my
I'm
God.
just sitting there like, all right.
I never knew.
Yeah,
I
it's
never
nuts.
knew.
It's nuts.
I wouldn't buy those fireworks.
I would
No, who would?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So the packaging. So are you guys actually design the artwork, and are you doing? Do you have an internal team that does this? Or?
Yep. We have a designated in-house Red Apple design team.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. And they come up with these characters like the zombies there and all that.
Yep.
They really do all that.
100%.
Wow.
Yeah, we don't use any stock artwork.
Mhm.
We started that way because
Yeah.
it was the most accessible, but now it's all totally custom.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what have you learned in this business? What kind of stories? What kind of ups and downs have you guys felt or seen? I mean, obviously, you're at a great level now. I'm sure it was hard to get there. I'm sure there were hiccups. Any stories or anything you've learned from struggles you've had?
I think you like to tell this side of things.
Which one?
You know,
we learned a lot of lessons. We continue to.
Yeah.
So one of my mantras is that, complacency is a slow death.
Yeah.
And comfort is a slow death.
Yeah.
And so if we're not innovating, if I don't see innovation across every department in the company,
Right.
I get really anxious.
Yeah.
And when I get anxious, that's when I become an asshole.
Yeah.
And I try to curb that. But when I see stagnancy, it makes me insane because I know that where we're at right now, we just started. Even though it's been 10 years, I feel like we just started.
Yeah.
And so if it takes us another 10 years to iterate to the next plateau or the next level,
Yeah.
it's too long.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm generally pretty anxious about innovation.
Yeah.
The other thing that, on the other side is customer.
Yeah.
We've learned so much from our customers just by listening to them. And I know that sounds trite,
Yeah.
but most people don't listen to their customers. Most
No.
businesses don't listen to their customers.
I agree 100%.
And so for us, we approach it the way that, we used to love shopping at Nordstrom because you could get good service while you were there. And if you took the product home and used it, you wore the shirt and you decided you didn't like it, you could take it right back.
Yeah.
And they would just swap it out for you, give you your
Yeah.
money back. So we really try to take the same approach and listen to our customers because we want everyone to be happy. We're not looking for one-off customers.
Yeah.
So I think innovate, keep your customers happy,
Yeah.
care for them, empathize with them.
Yeah.
And those are the two main things that I've learned over the last 10 years.
Yeah. What about you?
I think I'd go along with that.
Yeah.
And I've always been, of the customer service mindset. And I think that, when we started, we were very customer service centered.
Yeah.
Customer. I remember staying up until 3-4 o'clock in the morning answering Facebook messages
Yeah.
and things like that because that's what the business required.
That's what we did.
And as we grew and took on people to help with those things, not only did I feel a little less connected to the customer because I wasn't the one engaging with them, but I think the company as a whole somewhat kind of started to get disconnected with the customer because we were accelerating. Yeah. And I think these past couple years, especially during COVID, it really re-ingrained with us the idea that we have to listen to our customers.
Right.
We have to talk to them. We have to interact with them. We have to learn from them.
Yeah.
And just because a customer has something negative to share with you,
That's better than positive. actually.
give me all the negative comments you have in the world. We'll take them and we'll fix them.
A lot of the things that we do in our company are because we heard negative feedback where someone maybe was trying to trash talk us.
Yeah, sure.
And we just grabbed it. And overnight, so that's the other thing is we're very agile.
Yeah.
So when something needs to be changed, we change it quickly.
Very quickly.
So someone will say, "Oh, your veterans program is garbage," right?
Yeah.
Like our grandpa was a tank driver.
Yeah.
So like we get it,
Yeah,
we
we
just
understand.
didn't have it implemented to the extent it needed to be.
Right.
So the guy who trash talked us, he tried to bring us down,
Right.
but actually the next day we had this amazing, veterans recognition program,
Yeah.
and it's that's the sort of thing that drives us.
Yeah. It's funny they mention that because I think that if people knew how seriously we took that problem, I mean, it was an all hands on deck problem.
Yeah.
And we had almost every employee in our organization put in their 2 cents. We had our general manager or store manager in Michigan, who's a veteran himself, pretty much spearheading the project of, researching what kind of veterans offers are out there and what kind of discounts and what kind of benefits and how we can take those ideas and bring them into our organization.
And now it's the best.
And now it's the best iteration of it that we've ever had.
And that came from negative.
It came from a 1-star Google review
Yeah.
about some customer that didn't get his free item because he didn't have his ID on him that day or something like that.
I mean, that's interesting because you always want to hear good things, but actually, it's the bad things that get you
100%.
pivot. Right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, think about it. The only times you might leave a review online on Google or something like that, the only time you get a response from the owner or whoever of that business is when it's a 1-star crappy review.
Right. How would you guys describe the company culture? Like, you guys are you're in multiple locations. Your headquarters is here, but you're in several states, right? You know, as someone who wants to open a location in another place, like, who are you looking for? What's the culture? How do you define the culture?
It's really funny that you asked that, because we just had a meeting yesterday. We had like a 2-hour meeting, all hands meeting yesterday, to discuss the way forward in terms of building more of a culture. Because for the last 10 years or 11 years, you know, it's just been like go, go, go.
Yeah.
And we didn't necessarily take the time to recognize or even think about what we needed in terms of company culture.
Yeah.
And so I think our core team right now, if you were to ask anyone, they would just say grind. But like, that's not enough, right?
Yeah.
So we actually are now, we're right in the middle of the process of collecting feedback from our team. And I think we want to distill it down to probably between 5 and 10 core values that we can use in the way that you mentioned, right? Because we're opening up in all these different geographic locations with different local cultures, different norms.
Yeah.
And we need to have cultures that are easily translated to those geographic locales.
Right.
So I would say it's probably going to end up going back to grind, innovate, respect your whole supply chain, from your supplier all the way to your end user, and everyone in between. I don't think it's anything earth shattering. I think we're already doing a lot of what will ultimately end up being our values, but we don't have an easily definable culture right now, except grind and make cool shit.
Right. It's not bad.
No.
What about you?
I mean, that's it 100%.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, let's look at the way that the industry could evolve in 5-10 years from now. What do you foresee? I mean, how do you foresee being ahead of everybody else? I think you're already miles ahead of everybody else, but what do you foresee in the future? I mean, technology is going to change the way people interact with technology, the way they shop. It's always changing. What do you see coming up for yourselves, maybe, and the way things might evolve?
I think when you think about the typical fireworks buying experience, you think about driving to the border of the state that you're at, going over the border, and there's like a little fireworks stand with like this old, like crusty, toothless dude who's selling you whistling bungholes and,
more bang for your buck and buy one, get 10 free.
And so for us, it's like we see a huge opportunity there, especially because we really harness technology.
Right.
I think that if anyone in the industry saw what it takes, technologically speaking, to operate our website and how much it costs us to operate the website, I think they would call us crazy, and they would say these guys are going to be out of business in the next year. Because it's expensive as hell, right?
Yeah.
But in our industry, we're positioned, I'd like to think we're positioned similarly to the way that Zappos was positioned before people realized that they could buy shoes online.
Yeah.
And everyone, so if you, at that time, go to Zappos.com, you can get yourself a pair of Nikes. Well, no, I want to go to the store and try them on. Yeah. And Zappos is like, no, you don't have to. We'll ship them to you for free. And if you don't like them, you can ship them back to us for free. And if you like them, just keep them.
Yeah.
And so there's a real lack of authority in the space of, can I buy fireworks online? People don't know. They think it's illegal. They think they can't.
Yeah.
We're shipping fireworks to 42 different states right now.
Wow.
And so we are spearhead. There's no company in the world doing e-commerce fireworks the way that we're doing it, the right way.
Yeah.
So I would say 5-year plan, depending on how quickly we can push this thing, is certainly to solidify our position as the authority in online fireworks.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you're doing the e-commerce. I'm curious about that. Like, how does that work? It's and if they don't like something, or what is your policy, and how does that work? The whole online buying, that really intrigues me.
It's tough.
Yeah,
it is. It's tough to deal with because we can't ship UPS, FedEx.
Yeah,
we have to ship by common carrier, which means get a pallet, put the fireworks on the pallet, shrink wrap it, call the trucking company. Yeah, trucking company shows up with the semi truck. Yeah, and the fireworks are gone. They're never going to be back.
That's expensive, right?
Expensive as hell.
Expensive. It is.
Our margins online are much lower than our in-store margins because we're eating most of the shipping.
Right.
Because Amazon has spoiled everyone into thinking that we can get free overnight shipping, which that's fine. That's a good thing. That's what we'd like to do eventually. But yeah, it's tough right now. If we make a mistake, our error rate is actually very, very low.
Right.
I think we had last year. I think it was 0.5% that was attributable to something we did wrong.
Right.
The rest of the mistakes, and there weren't many, but the rest of them were attributable to the carrier, or maybe they punctured the fireworks with the forklift or whatever, or sent it to the wrong address or whatever. The error rates were very low. When there is an issue, we credit back the customer. Keep the stuff. Here's your store credit. Sorry for the mistake. If you want us to ship you out another one, you can use your store credit for that. But we don't have a lot of options in terms of accepting the product back from a legal perspective.
Yeah.
So we just kind of have to just eat it. And we're happy to do that because our error rate is low. Yeah. And again, we want our customers to be happy.
So you're one of the, are you the only ones able to do this? I mean, are there other companies that can do online ordering for fireworks? I mean,
they're trying.
They're trying. They're not doing it the way we're doing it.
Okay.
And as flawlessly as we're doing it, with as much support and knowledge behind it too.
You said it's really an empty field.
How many countries? 40?
42 states.
42 states.
42 states.
Yeah.
States.
Yes.
Okay.
Soon to be 42 countries.
Wow. Where do you see most of the orders coming from? Are they going to Florida? Are they going?
Southeast is real big.
Yeah.
From basically from Texas to Florida up to Tennessee.
Okay.
And across. So sort of like the lower right-hand quadrant of our country.
Okay.
I think they're huge consumers of fireworks.
Okay.
I think we have a big untapped market in the Midwest.
Okay.
But our brand just isn't that well known out there yet.
Yeah.
So we're just looking for that critical mass.
What are they buying them for? I mean, people buying them for birthday. Is it like football games? Is it birthday parties? Is it anniversaries?
It's really any reason.
Yeah.
I think that our marketing efforts have made it so that people find reasons to purchase fireworks throughout the year. Yeah. And I think in off times like, the middle of August or, the end of October, it's because we have some sort of sale going on that they're like, oh, you know what? I'm getting my fireworks for New Year's Eve right now because that item is normally $60 more, around this time. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they buy them, of course, for the 4th of July, New Year's Eve.
Right.
We just got done in October. There's a big Hindu holiday called Diwali or Diwali, some people say.
Wasn't that just happening?
Just a couple weeks ago, I think.
Okay.
And it's a huge holiday in the Hindu religion, and they go nuts for fireworks.
Really?
So it's it's us not only us giving people a reason to use fireworks, but also I just forgot what I was about to say.
They don't even know where to go for it.
Yeah, they don't even know where to go for it.
So it's like a visibility.
Yeah, we give them the opportunity to do it. Because a lot of people, it's just like going on vacation in the winter and you need a pair of shorts. You're not able to find them, but now, Red Apple, we've got you covered no matter what time of year it is.
Mike runs through a lot of pairs of shorts.
I go through a lot of shorts.
Yeah.
So
and shoes too.
I'm wearing pants today, but shorts normally. Yeah.
This has been cool. I mean, I really, you guys are really innovating the industry. I like it.
Trying.
If someone's interested in maybe opening up a location or finding out more, what's the best way to reach you guys? I know you're pretty active on YouTube.
We're super accessible.
Yeah.
So any social channel, SMS, you can text us, call.
Email.
When we get emails, we answer them.
Okay.
My email is doug@redapplefireworks.com.
Okay.
I answer all the emails that I can possibly get to.
Yeah.
Mine's doug@redapplefireworks.com also.
Pretty easy.
But I think that going back to your question earlier about culture, I think it's really important that people can identify with what they see on like our website or our social channels or our YouTube.
Yeah.
Because I think the culture is there.
Yeah.
It's kind of like unspoken at this point.
Right.
But it's clearly there. You can feel it.
Yeah.
So I think that would be the first thing is, you need to be able to identify with it. It's not for everyone.
Right.
We're edgy, we're obnoxious, it takes a special person to appreciate some of our humor sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're very accessible.
Because I think, in the olden days, you think of a business owner, you think of a guy in a suit locked up in an office or at his house, and he doesn't want to talk to anybody.
Sure.
He just wants to hire people to do everything for him. And I think that you guys get it. Like, you have to be immersed in the business. You have to talk to your customers, and you have to address the questions. And I love that you're doing that.
Appreciate it.
That's awesome. And I love that you guys are a little bit obnoxious and out there, because I am too. And I respect businesses that want to walk a different path.
For sure.
Because if you don't do that, you're going to die pretty quickly, you know. And I think anybody who's ever ran anything successful, they did their own thing, you know.
For sure, you
They
can
did
see
well.
it.
Yeah. Guys, it's been great. I think this was a good episode, and I think if anybody's listening and you want to know more about Red Apple Fireworks, whether you're interested in the business, products, or just talking to these guys, reach out.
Yeah, we're an open book.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
All right.
Nice work.
Hey, this is Ryan with the Business Stories Podcast, and I want to let you know that we are looking for sponsors for episodes. If you have a company that wants to sponsor an episode, please reach out to me at livingryan@gmail.com. And thanks again for listening.